Commands during movement. Other than leaving a matching force behind due to pinning, when leaving an active region, commands cannot merge or split during the movement operations phase. Place hotspot markers. Place hotspot markers on any active regions as they become apparent, even if no orders were written for that region. Remember, invaded territories defended only by a garrison force. Potential convoy raids as no orders are needed. Conflicts arising due to naval unit production rather than due to any movement in this round. Embattled regions persisting from the previous round rather than due to any movement this round. Carrier fighter movement. No written orders for carrier fighters. Aircraft carriers have special carrier fighter tokens that optionally engage after all other movements have been made. Keep carrier fighter tokens in storage until needed. The carrier fighter tokens are double-sided. Use the red side for the Axis and the blue side for the Allied forces. They can never become part of an air command stack. Launch carrier fighters. Each nation may now launch a single carrier fighter token from each of its carriers, done in turn order if anyone insists. A carrier token fighter may be placed either in the sea region with its parent carrier or in an apparent land or sea region. Carrier fighter tokens never pin, nor are they pinned. They move one space. I don't know if that got said. That didn't make you dizzy. So, move destroyed carrier fighter tokens to the casualty list. Surviving carrier fighter tokens are removed from the map in the battle debrief part of Phase 4 combat operations. They are presumed to have returned. Carriers always have exactly one fighter carrier token on board at the start of each new round. If a carrier is eliminated, its carrier fighter token still participates in battle during that round. If a carrier fighter token is not eliminated but its parent carrier is eliminated, move only the carrier to the casualty list. Phase 3, movement examples. And I will let you look at those, but row 1. Box 1, move the 65th from Manchuria down to Chekiang by rail. China's 101st moved, previously causing Peping to become embattled. This prevents all rail movement in and out of Peping. It's not a matter of pinning. The 65th's orders must be cancelled. Japan draws a diagonal line through the box to show this. The 66th commands order must be cancelled. Japan draws a diagonal line through it to show this. If the written order was Peping J4, movement would still have been possible. By the way, that's because they would be walking in from Manchuria to Peping. And remember, you don't specify rail. Box 2, move the 97th 3 infantry at sea from P2 to P13. If Japan chooses to move the 97th troop transport through P1, it will be pinned by the 2 U.S. naval units unless Japan already has a matching force of naval units present, which it doesn't yet. Japan chooses to move the 97th to P13 via P12, which is empty of enemies. Despite having a majority of troop transports to U.S. naval units 32, all Japanese troop transports would be pinned if entering P1 unless Japan had enough naval units to meet the U.S. pinning value. Troop transports can only leave a sea zone with an unmatched force of enemy naval units present if they are entering a friendly controlled territory. Row 1, Box 3, move the 18th 2 fighters from Iwo Jima to Sea Zone P12. Air commands are never pinned, nor can they pin. Other than canceling, Japan could not have them stop early for any reason, Add an arrow tag atop the air command to remind that these fighters must later land safely or perish. In Phase 5, refit and deploy. Note, these landing movements are never written down. Movement examples. Row 2. Box 1. Move the 8th. 1 carrier, 1 sub, 1 cruiser from P0 to P13. Japan may choose whether to pass through P1 or through P14 on its way to P13 as only the destination is specified, or cancel the order and move entirely. The United States has moved warships in P1, so Japan decides to engage and initially pin itself, leaving the carrier and submarine behind to deal with the 2 U.S. naval units. Japan must continue on to its final destination with the 3rd unit, leaving no more than an equal number behind. The cruiser continues on to P12, while the 2 units left behind gain a new command token of the 2nd. Box 2, row 2, box 2. Move the 24th, 1 armor and 1 infantry from Peiping to C region P0. Due to China's previous move, the command is partially pinned by 1 Chinese infantry in Peiping. Japan must leave behind a matching force or cancel the move entirely. Japan chooses to leave behind the armor, creating a need for a new command token, the 41st, to be placed on it, while the infantry, as the 24th, keeps the current command and enters the sea. Even if Japan was moving in other forces in a subsequent order, it must resolve the pinning now, as orders must be resolved left to right, top to bottom. If an Axis ally were in Peiping, it would be used to satisfy Japan's pinning requirements first. Row 2, box 3. Move the 16th, 1 fighter from Formosa to Iwo Jima. Japan blundered. The 16th can't reach J20 with its 2 movements. Japan cancels the move by slashing the box. It can't move partially, nor may it move beyond during the land-air command step unless a battle occurs in J16, as the fighter never took off. Row 3, box 1. Move the 6th, 1 submarine, 1 carrier from P12 to Mariana Islands. Japan has made a mistake. Naval units may not enter territories. Everything inside an island circle is considered a territory. Japan slashes the order box. Note, the carrier fighter token will still get to launch even though the order was cancelled, as launching carrier fighter tokens requires no order. A battle may have 1 or 2 distinct stages. Combat operations. Terms. A battle may have 1 or 2 distinct stages depending on the type of units present. Each stage is fully conducted in turn as necessary. A nation may never attack an ally or itself. Air battle stage. This first stage resolved includes all attacks against air units by enemy units, both anti-air units on their surface and air units in the sky. Surface battle stage. This second stage resolved targets land or sea units. These involve attacks against land or naval units from surviving air units, including those damaged, and or from enemy land or naval units. Battle status position. Initial status. Units start in their respective slot as labeled. Lightly damaged. Carriers, battleships, and armor have an extra damage box. No repair is required if the unit is only lightly damaged. Damaged. Any box with a red cross icon indicates it is damaged to the point that it requires repair. Note, carriers, battleships, and armor with their additional boxes can receive 1 hit before they become damaged. Most damaged units are vulnerable to white die results, as indicated by the white triangle in the box. Eliminated. Any units ending up in this column will be removed at the end of the battle. Dive. Damaged submarines in the dive box are not susceptible to white hits. After each batch of enemy dice rolled, submarines that are damaged but not eliminated will flee the battle immediately, thereby avoiding further damage entirely and the need to repair. Move such escaped submarines to the escaped area after each batch of dice are fully assigned. Air combat value. Surface combat value. Stance. This is often a choice of stance for a given unit type. Stances have labels such as defense or offense. Some stances have both an air combat value and a surface combat value. Each combat value is used for its respective stage. It is not an either-or choice. Combat operations. Order of battle. In turn order, each nation selects an active hotspot, then it is addressed. The chosen conflict or raid must involve the current nation's forces or territory, or the nation must pass if there are no such hotspots. Repeat this process until all hotspots are addressed exactly once. A region should never have more than one hotspot marker present. Remove hotspots from the world map as they become resolved, unless they remain embattled. Placement and resolution of a hotspot is not optional and must be addressed. Battle setup. Setup facing of the battle status board. Flip the battle status board on the relevant side, land or sea. Place units on the battle status board. Allied forces on the right side, Axis on the left. Move each unit from the chosen active region of the world map to the battle status board into its respective starting box according to its type of nationality. Troop transports remain on the world map to be dealt with during battle debrief. Units under construction do not battle and are prone to capture if the territory is lost. Place the command tokens on the matching flags printed on the battle status board. When there are multiple friendly nations on either side, use national flags or the orientation of units to keep track of which units belong to which nations and align them in columns. Very important. Nations from the same alliance must choose a single commander from participating nations' players to make all battle decisions and roll all dice for this particular conflict. Settle any dispute for who is commander by using turn order rank. The commander decides from among the participating allies which nation receives a newly won territory and which nations receives the medals. Assign battle stances. This is the choice of stance of most unit types. Each stance has different strengths and weaknesses. For example, a stance may allow rolling more dice during air combat stage, but fewer dice during the surface battle stage. Move each unit to its initial status box according to its chosen stance. Not all units of a singular type need to be assigned to the same stance. Mix them up as you please. The alliance whose commander is first in turn order must finalize their unit's stance first. Stances now remain for both battle stages. The alliance whose commander is first in turn order must finalize their unit stances first. Pretty important. Note advantages. Place hotspot markers in the relevant boxes to remind players of force advantage and port advantage. Alliances share both conditions. Force advantage. During the surface combat battle stage, the side with more land or naval units has force advantage. If one side has force advantage, black and white dice results are considered misses for the other side. Stances are irrelevant. If both sides have an equal number of relevant unit types, neither side has force advantage. Force advantage is evaluated only at the start of the surface battle stage. If the balance of unit types changes after any batch is resolved, do not reevaluate. Air units attacking land or naval units do not affect force advantage, but their dice results are affected. For example, if Germany has artillery and infantry while the Soviet Union has only fighters and infantry, then the Soviet Union's black and white dice results miss for the entire surface battle, as Germany has force advantage because what? It has artillery, and Russia doesn't match it. Again, I want to read the first sentence. During the surface battle stage, the side with more land or naval unit types has force advantage. Each cruiser escort stance. Each cruiser assigned to this special stance gives its commander the option for the cruiser to take hits, including white or black hits, that would normally be assigned to a carrier, green, or a battleship, red. Blue hits are always resolved before green or red hits. A damaged cruiser may still use this ability, but if the escorting cruiser is sunk, then the ability is lost. Allies can protect each other's units with this ability. If a battle occurs in a port-connected sea zone, the side with a friendly port-connected territory has port advantage. Both sides may end up with port advantage. Damaged ports. and ports controlled by nations in the yellow zone or worse do not provide port advantage. For a side with port advantage, roll 2 more dice. Observing the 30 dice limit for the surface battle, first surface battle stage of sea battles if friendly units are present. Also, repairs for naval units are free instead of the usual 1 resource per damaged unit. Additional ports on the same side have no effect. Note territory control and therefore port advantage is updated immediately after each battle, thus the order of hotspot resolutions can be critical for port advantage. Garrison forces. And now all empty territories have a garrison force, including neutrals that have had their defense force eliminated but have not been captured. If the territory is attacked by land forces, the attacking force doesn't roll against the garrison force. Rather, the garrison force rolls 2 dice. If both dice roll the same color, 2 yellow, 2 blue, etc., matching an invading land unit type, then 1 unit of that type is eliminated. No partial damage, hence no repair, and moved to the casualty list. Black results are wild, i.e. can be used as any color. White results are missing. After this exchange, the territory will be captured by any invading land unit remains. If any land unit remains. If any invading land unit remains. Page 15. Combat operations. Battle resolution. After setup, resolve the battle in the following order. Conduct the air battle stage if air units are present. Air units eliminated in this stage do not participate in subsequent steps. Resolve raids, if applicable, to conduct a strategic bombing raid or convoy raid. Conduct the surface battle stage if land or naval units are present. Damaged air units participate if in a ground or surface stance. Conduct battle debrief. To conduct a battle stage, air or surface, follow the steps A to C below. Count dice to be rolled for each side. Both commanders now multiply the number of their own units in each row on the battle stage status board by that row's respective combat value for the current battle stage, air or surface. If there is force advantage, place an arrow tag by the side suffering the penalty as a reminder. Then each side adds all of its rows to get total to form a grand total which may never exceed 30 dice per battle stage. Per side. Ignore the excess. Use hotspots along the far left, and far right edges of the battle stage board to keep track of each side's grand total dice count to be rolled for the current battle stage. Count all air units and any land or naval units with anti-air firepower. Count surface battle stage. Count all land or naval units and any surviving air units except those conducting state strategic bombing raids. The air battle stage. Count all air units and any land or naval units with anti-air firepower. Roll dice in batches. For each battle stage, results are effectively simultaneous as the combat values are totaled before rolling begins. Commanders roll in batches of 10 dice until all dice for the current stage are rolled. Only the last batch per battle stage rolled may have fewer than 10 dice. The commander first in turn order rolls his first batch, then the opposing commander will roll her first batch. Then remove a dice tracking hotspot from the battle edge and check to see if any force advantage arrows need updating. Commanders then repeat the sequence for each of their second or third batches if relevant. When multiple allies are present, each commander rolls all dice for its own alliance. No results can be set aside to combine with a later or previous batch roll. No results can be set aside to combine with a later or previous batch roll. The Germans in surface battle example. The Germans and Italians together have 12 surface battle stage dice to roll. The Soviets have 21. Neither side has force advantage. The determined player is the Axis commander, is first in turn order rank. The German player rolls a batch of 10 dice and resolves the results. The Soviet player rolls a batch of 10 and resolves the results. The German player rolls and resolves its leftover batch of 2 dice. The Soviet player rolls again full batch and then resolves it and finally resolves its last batch of a single die. Only air battle stage. Only air units may be hit during the air battle stage, even though land and naval units might have participated. Surface battle stage. Only land or naval units may be hit during the surface battle stage, even though air units might have participated. If a rolled die color matches an enemy unit color, it's a hit against that unit type. The current dice roller attacker must assign the hits to enemy units by moving them one step closer to their row's eliminated box. A damaged unit must be eliminated before another in the same row can be assigned a hit. Note, when players with multiple allies in the same battle, it is best to transfer eliminated units immediately to the casualty list so they don't get mixed up. For example, China rolls 5 die, resulting in 2 yellows, a green, and a black, and a white, and applies hits to its enemy Imperial Japan. The 2 yellows hit a single infantry unit in the defensive stance. It is moved 2 steps over to the eliminated box. Imperial Japan has no armor present, so the green is a miss. China assigns the black to an artillery, moving it to the damage box. White can be applied to the damaged artillery, and so it is pushed to the eliminated box. Assigning black and white rolls. Black, wild. Hit any target within current battle stage unless force advantage applies. Hit, white. Hit only damaged units within current battle stage and in the box with a white triangle unless force advantage applies. Hits may never be assigned to units that are not legal targets for the current battle stage. Resolve all results of a single color before moving on to the next color in the following order: yellow, blue, green, red, black, white. Excuse me. Strategic bombing raids. Strategic bombing raids. Combat operations raids. Strategic bombing raids. Strategic bombing raids can occur in any territory with a potential target, i.e. resources, units under construction, including naval units and or infrastructure. During battle setup, bombers may be placed on the strategic stance of the battle status board. If so, these bombers conduct strategic bombing raids between the air stage and the surface stage, only if they survive the air battle stage. The attacker rolls 4 dice for each raiding bomber and applies damage before rolling for the next bomber. After each bomber rolls, remove destroyed units under construction to the casualty list and record lost resources by type on the target nation's resource chart. Loss limits. In a single raid, a territory cannot lose more total resources of each type than it currently produces, taking flipped territory cards status into account. Resource losses deplete current totals, not future income. A nation's resources cannot drop below 0. Yellow. Destroys 1 infantry or sub under construction or depletes 1 enemy OSR. Blue. Destroys 1 artillery or cruiser under construction or deplete 1 enemy iron. Green. Destroys 1 armor, carrier, or fighter under construction. Red. Destroys 1 bomber or battleship under construction or deplete 1 enemy oil. White. Damage all infrastructure, which includes ports and rails, by adding a bomb token to the territory. Black. Deplete 1 resource, destroy any 1 unit under construction, or damage all infrastructure by adding a bomb token. Damaged infrastructure. Effectively immediately, ports lose their port advantage but are otherwise functional, and there can be no rail movement into and out of the territory. If relevant, each bomb token permanently reduces the territory's production output by 1, negating a smokestack, basically. A captured territory that is bombed will remain damaged. Bomb tokens are never removed. There is no need to place more than 1 bomb token in the territory, except for those with industries. The 2 convoy types are transocean convoys and coastal convoys. Both are represented on the world map by convoy clusters, which are groups of color-coded transport ships silhouetted within 1 or more rings. Convoys may be raided once per round. Orders are not required. and will refresh to be active for the next round. A change in control of a linked territory affects convoy control immediately. Trans-ocean convoy clusters are shown on the world map in sea regions with an accompanying national flag. Each trans-ocean convoy cluster has both a territory of origin and destination. If both territories are controlled by nations of the same alliance, the convoy is active and may be raided by opposing alliance. If two Axis nations control the territories, they must decide amongst themselves which nation places its national flag to denote control and suffer the liability. If the territories are controlled by opposing nations, the convoy is inactive and may not be raided. Coastal convoys are convoy clusters linked to certain ports on the world map. The nation that controls the linked territory also controls the coastal convoy and will suffer any resource loss due to a raid. Coastal convoys are always active. Identifying convoy raids. Phase 3, movement operations. If an enemy air or naval unit is in the sea region with an active convoy and there are no defending naval or air units present, then a raid may occur. If so, place a hotspot marker in the region to be resolved in Phase 4, combat operations. If defenders are in the region, then no raiding may occur even after a battle is resolved. Troop transports do not act as defenders and may be sunk in addition to a convoy raid occurring. Each convoy cluster may be raided only once per round, and each command may raid only one convoy cluster in its region. If multiple friendly commands target the same cluster, they conduct one raid together, choosing a commander if necessary. To resolve each raided cluster, the attacker rolls 1 die per air or naval unit and batches up to 10 of the raiding command. For each ship silhouette color in the cluster that is matched by at least 1 die roll, all transports of that color in the cluster are sunk. Black results or wild may be used for any color. The number of sunk transports for each specific color indicates the number of lost resources of the corresponding type. Record lost resources on the targeted nation's resource track, applying the same loss limits as noted above, using under strategic bombing raids. Combat operations, battle debrief. After completing both air and surface stages, resolve the following steps. Assess unit status and pay for repairs. At the end of a battle, units can only be in one of 3 states. Initial damage, normal. Initial status, normal. Damaged must be repaired or eliminated. Eliminated must be removed to the casualty list. Battleships, carriers, and armor have an extra box, lightly damaged, which requires no repair. Move units in lightly damaged boxes to their initial status boxes. Check for port advantage. Naval units gain free repair if port advantage applies. Move each repaired unit to its initial status box. Option to repair. For each unit remaining in the damaged box, the owning nation may pay 1 resource, any type, per damaged unit to repair it. Move each repaired unit back to its initial status box. A nation's resources may not drop below 0, nor may it trade outside of Phase 7 production. Each nation may decline or be unable to repair. If so, move such damaged units to their eliminated box. Note, air units eliminated due to a lack of repair still get to participate in the surface battle stage, as the option to repair occurs after both battles. Remove eliminated units. Move units in eliminated boxes, including carrier fighter tokens, to the casualty list per the corresponding nation and type. When the multiple allies are present in the battle, move eliminated units to their owning nation's row on the casualty list immediately during battle. If a carrier is eliminated in battle and its carrier fighter token is not, then the carrier fighter token is not moved to the casualty list. Check for lost troop transports. Unguarded troop transports, land commands at sea without a friendly naval or air unit in the same sea region will all be eliminated if any enemy air or naval units are present in the same region. However, if the only friendly units present are submarines and there are any enemy air units, the troop transport will be eliminated. The presence of enemy troop transports has no effect. Transfer any units in eliminated troop transports to the casualty list. For example, Germany has 1 submarine and 1 land command troop transport present in a sea region. The United States has 1 carrier fighter token present. All of Germany's land units in the sea region are eliminated. Return surviving command stacks to the appropriate region on the world map and optionally reorganize within that region. Be careful not to mix up units owned by friendly nations. Place surviving carrier fighter tokens in storage, whether or not their respective carriers were eliminated. Combat operations, battle debrief. Update territory status, land battles. Determine who controls the territory. A nation gains control of an enemy territory if its alliance is the only force with at least 1 surviving land unit. However, if both sides still have land units or neither side has land units, control of the territory doesn't change hands. Air commands by themselves cannot capture or hold the territory. If the territory is captured and there were multiple nations on the victorious side, the commander decides which of those nations will be the new controller, as long as that nation has at least 1 surviving land unit. Exchange the territory card or update its embattled status. If control changes, the former controlling nation surrenders the territory card to the new controller. If control doesn't change or enemy units remain in the territory, be sure that the embattled side of the territory card is face up. Replace or retain national flag. If control changes, the national flag on the territory is changed. If the new controller is the original controller, as indicated by map color, simply remove all flags. Otherwise, remove the current flag, if any, and replace the new controller's flag on the territory. Check for captured units. Any units under an industry token are also captured and will be deployed under the new ownership during Phase 5, Refit and Deploy. China never captures air or naval units. Such units are removed to storage. Evaluate enemy air commands. If the alliance does not control the territory, has only air commands remaining, those commands will either need to be moved to a friendly territory during the land air command step or be eliminated. Add newly gained medals and stress tokens to the morale board. Medals atop the medals and stress atop the newspapers. Note, medals may be divided amongst several of the participating allies, including participating nations that had all their units eliminated. A nation receives the medals needn't be the nation taking control of the territory in a land battle. By the way, I'm going to review evacuate enemy air commands. If the alliance that does not control the territory has only air commands remaining, those commands will either need to be moved to a friendly territory or eliminated. So, capture of a non-capital territory is 1 medal, regardless of its SV. Capture of a territory is 3 medals, regardless of its SV. Medals can be awarded unevenly among friendly participating nations. Apply stress for the active hotspot. Loss of the territory. Territory's former controller gains stress equal to the SV of the lost territory. Breaking the Japanese-Soviet non-aggression pact, the first nation to break the pact gains 6 stress. Invasion of a neutral territory, win or lose, nation gains 1 stress per invasion, the first time only. Update hotspot marker. If the region remains embattled, land or naval units remain on both sides, flip the hotspot marker to show its red and blue embattled side. Otherwise, remove it. Refit and deploy. Land air commands. All air commands that were moved or participated in battle should have been marked with an arrow tag. They may now move up to 2 regions and must land in a friendly territory, even if it is still embattled. If any player insists, resolve these landings in turn order. As air commands are landed, remove their arrow tags. Air commands landing movements should not be written on the OMP chart. Air commands may split at this time, thereby landing in multiple territories. If an air command has no legal moves possible, then it is eliminated, transferred to the casualty list. Air commands by themselves may never take control of an enemy territory after a battle, even if no enemy forces are present. Remove all carrier fighter tokens from the world map to storage. Deploy units. This step is skipped in the first round of play as production has not yet occurred, unless using the rapid resolution optional rule. Nations must simultaneously deploy their newly constructed units. Remove industry tokens. Number 1. Create new command stacks with the same unit category only, land, air, or naval. Or merge the new units into existing command stacks of the category respecting the 8 unit per command limit. New land or air units can only be deployed to the territory in which they were constructed. They may be deployed even if the territory is embattled. Naval units may now deploy to a port-connected sea region and do the same, merge or create a new command. Nations may deploy naval units into embattled sea regions and even into sea regions containing only enemy units. Bombed infrastructure affects deployment limits. Access units unable to deploy due to newly bombed industries with a reduced smokestack limit must be destroyed, owner's choice, and transferred to the casualty list. Yikes. If sufficient command tokens are not available to accommodate all the deployed units, even after merging to freeze them up, then excess units are destroyed but not moved to the casualty list. If sufficient command tokens are not available to accommodate all the deployed units, even after merging to freeze them up, then excess units owning player's choice are destroyed but not removed. This rarely occurs. Reorganize commands. Players may merge or split commands that share a region are of the same nationality. Reorganizing commands may happen all at the same time in a turn order if anyone insists. No command stacks can exceed 8 units. There is no limit to the total number of commands in any region. Units, when merging, must be all the same unit category, land, air, or naval. When splitting a command, be sure to assign a new command token. Store all command tokens that are not being used. Morale. Look at the morale board casualty list. Each nation multiplies the number of its lost units in each unit type column by its respective factor at the top of the column. Each nation then adds the sum of each unit type together to get to its total casualty points for the round. Convert the casualty points into stress points for each nation, according to the casualty to stress conversion chart along the top. Place stress tokens accordingly in the threshold column on the morale board for each nation. Return the units to storage after conversion. For example, if a nation lost a battleship, a cruiser, and a bomber, it gains 36 casualty points, which converts into 2 stress tokens. Resolve medals and stress tokens. After each battle, medals and stress tokens might have been gained. A broken Soviet-Japanese pact might have also caused stress. Resolve each step below for each nation in turn order. Nations may not backtrack in reaction to other nations' choices. Submit medals to cancel stress points. Each nation may give up any combination of medals and or civilian goods to cancel stress points at a rate of 1 medal or a civilian good per 1 stress point. Stress points, medals, and civilian goods may never be traded among nations, friendly or not. Medals and civilian goods not spent to cancel stress may be kept indefinitely for later use. Evaluate stress level. If a nation now has stress points equal to or more than its stress threshold shown next to its national flag on the morale board, move that nation's flag up to the next state zone on the Homeland Stress Status track. Return exactly that threshold number of stress points to storage, leaving any leftover stress points on the morale board. Repeat this process until any stress points remaining are less than the threshold. A nation might move up more than 1 zone per round. If a nation is in the gray zone, it cannot advance further on the Homeland Stress track. and therefore does not return any stress tokens to storage. Each nation has the option to give up any combination of 5 metals and or civilian goods to slide back one zone on the homeland status track. A nation cannot go below the white zone nor slide back more than one zone per round. Apply stress token penalties. Stress token penalties are cumulative and reoccur each round if a nation is at that level or worse. Homeland Status Track. This track, featuring the color-coded zones, is located near the center of the world map. Each nation marks its current position on the track with the national flag and may be forced to advance around the track as its wartime stress level increases. Arriving at each new stress zone imposes harsher consequences. White zone is acceptable stress, no penalty, starting position. Blue zone, labor and civil unrest. The nation must pay any 3 resources, if able, in order to restore order in the homeland. Yellow, dysfunctional rails and ports. All rails controlled by the nation, including rails in captured enemy territories, are not usable by that nation or any ally. The affected nation may still use an ally's rails if that ally's nation has not reached this zone. No trade by sea is allowed. Ports controlled by the nation no longer provide port advantage. Deployment may still occur at these ports. Orange zone, disrupted supply lines. Due to depleted morale and disorganization at the front, the nation has 3 fewer orders available to write during Phase 2 strategic planning. Draw slashes through the last 3 boxes on the affected nation's O&P chart. Red zone, economic collapse. No new resources may be added to the nation's resource track. Current resources may still be spent or lost. Gray zone, mass desertion. The nation's controlling player must now remove a number of its units of any type from the world equal to its current stress points. The stress points do not get removed for such desertions. Note, after resolving the gray zone penalties, if an embattled territory loses its last defending land unit, the territory control is not lost to the enemy until the combat phase of the following round. A battle against a garrison will take place if no defending units are present. Production. It's time to manufacture weapons and mobilize new infantry forces. Each nation secretly fills out the production side of its O&P chart. Each nation marks starting resources. Each nation fills in the initial resources box by referring to its respective resource chart. Note, purchase of units. Nations simultaneously decide the number of units planned for purchase per unit type using the O&P chart. Colored dots show the cost of resources per unit. Civilian goods cost 5 resources of any type, which may be mixed. After finalizing purchases, each nation totals expenditures by resources, subtracts them from the initial post-trading resources, and notes the remaining resources on its chart. Trade with neutrals. Trade is only possible in the global war scenario during Step 2 of the Phase 7, production. Referred to the world map, trade is only permitted with non-embattled neutrals that show a round icon with an offered resource type. Neutrals will only accept either of the other 2 resources in exchange. For example, Mexico only offers iron, so it will not accept iron. Player-controlled nations may not trade with each other. Exchange rates. OSRs are traded in blocks of 5, iron in blocks of 3, and oil in blocks of 2. For example, it takes 2 oil to get 5 OSRs and vice versa. Alliance restrictions. Unless captured, pro-allied neutrals, colored light green on the world map, will not trade with the Axis. A captured neutral will only trade with its aligned alliance. China may not trade at all. Trade routes by land or sea. A nation may trade by land only if that nation or an ally controls a non-embattled territory directly adjacent to the trading neutral territory. In order to trade by sea, the sea region connected to the trading neutral's port must be free of all enemy commands except troop transports. The Axis additionally must have a friendly naval command in that sea region for intimidation. Trades must be declared and the route verified. Then the trading nation adjusts its resource track accordingly and writes the exchange and new resource totals on its O&P chart. Each nation is restricted to 1 trade per round. Gain exactly 2 oil for giving up 5 OSRs.